Hi everybody and welcome back to our channel. Continuing to pump out content tonight. So same clothes, same location, trees on this time though. And we'll be looking at and reacting to a Reddit post in the subreddit r/marriage. The title caught my eye instantly because it says husband started an argument about cultural identity. And I'd like to dig into it a little bit more. So let's go ahead and jump right in. My husband, a 32-year-old male, and I, a 28-year-old female, have been married for 4 years, together for 8. He is originally from Korea and has spent over half of his life in the United States. I am Hispanic, Mexican American, and was born and raised in the United States. Apart from growing up around the Spanish language and around other first and second generation Hispanic Americans and eating certain culinary delicacies that originate from the motherland, I was not the most immersed in the culture growing up. I've been to Mexico, but don't go there regularly. I still have some family in Mexico as well. I fully admit that I didn't share much in common with token Mexicans who are born and raised over there. However, I don't know if she means, I think she means a standard Mexican, because a token Mexican would not be somebody who's born and raised in the culture. Am I wrong? However, I've always tried to foster a connection to my roots, especially through my grandparents. That's wonderful. Growing up, I always heard stories of their life and their path coming to America to have a better life. I also speak Spanish fluently and work with underserved Hispanic communities in my area. So girl, you're good to go. Like, maybe you don't know everything there is to know about everything, but she seems like she's pretty solidly entrenched in her Mexican heritage. So that's pretty cool. My husband and I recently got into an argument after I jokingly replied, "I'm Hispanic. I don't really like mayonnaise." He became really upset with and said he doesn't like how I make being Hispanic/Mexican American my identity when I grew up in America. Sounds like he's got some issues. I have never once claimed that I grew up in Mexico or was born there. He argued that I am just simply American, regardless of where my grandparents came from, my features, skin tone, and blood. He is weird. We've still got some to go in this post, but that is so weird coming from somebody who has been in the United States since 16. Is this a competition where he's like, my cultural experience is more than yours, so you don't have a right to call yourself Mexican American? This is so weird, because I guarantee you, if he communicates with his Korean family back in Korea, he doesn't describe this woman as American, because the American stereotype is the blonde haired, blue eyed person from the United States of America, not a Mexican American woman. So, regardless of whether she's first or second generation, she is still tied to that culture. She still speaks the language. She still knows about the traditions and all of these things. And it doesn't give him a right to say that she's not Mexican enough. So far, he sounds like a jerk. Let's see what he has to say. My husband also mentioned it angers him whenever Korean Americans call themselves Korean. Oh, he's that kind of a person. For example, if I met a Nigerian and I called myself African American and the Nigerian got upset about me calling myself African, this is the kind of man we're dealing with. So he doesn't like it. It makes him angry because they didn't grow up the same, regardless of whether there may be some overlap. For example, both growing up speaking Korean. I reminded my husband that children born to Mexican nationals are considered Mexican citizens per the Constitution of Mexico, to which he shook his head and dismissed me. The argument ended with him claiming I'm delusional and fake for even calling myself Hispanic. He has problems. He has real problems. He said it's insulting to actual Hispanics who live in South and Central America, and told me that true Hispanic people will never accept you as one of their own. What is wrong with him? This really hurt to hear. Obviously, my grandparents have always told me never to forget where my family is from, and made sure that I knew I am accepted as both Mexican and American. I was never fully accepted by the white American community, but my husband is convinced that my culture is basically white American, as I grew up in the US. When I asked him if I should start identifying as white, he got more upset and said, "Just American." I feel like, as my husband, he definitely overstepped by downplaying my familial ties and cultural identity. Does my spouse have a right to tell me how to identify culturally? That's not a real question. That can't be a real question. Is my spouse justified in getting so upset over this? Is he right in saying that true Hispanics will never consider me as one of their own? Listen.
Listen.
No, there is no like true Hispanic form that you evolve to. This is just stupid. This is stupid. He is stupid. And I'm even thinking about the fact that your kids, if you do decide to have children, would be half Korean and half Mexican. American isn't even like an identity in the grand scheme of things. It's a country, it's a nationality, but ethnically wise, he is Korean, you are Mexican. And when you come together, you're going to have these little half and half children. So what is he going to tell them? Because they've never been to Korea, they're not Korean? This is insane. This is insane logic. And it also sounds like maybe he might even be jealous of her. Update. I asked my husband how he would feel about me telling my abuela that my husband thinks that she is naive for Ooh, that's a good one. I asked my husband how he would feel about me telling my abuela, her grandmother, that my husband thinks she is naive for telling me that I'm Mexican American. He snapped at me about how I barely talk to my abuela these days anyway, and that she would probably agree with him. This might be a stretch, but I am starting to think this may be a trigger for him. He's very close to his grandmother and talks to her on the phone weekly. He seems bothered by the fact that I don't communicate with my abuela as much as he does with his own grandmother. I don't have a bad relationship with her. I just get busy and often forget to call my own parents. So it's what I thought in the beginning. He is comparing himself as the standard for being connected to culture, and anybody else who does less than him or isn't what he isn't allowed to call themselves something. And it's such weird behavior to police somebody's identity. I am so interested to see what the people in the comments have to say. So let's go ahead. Top response here says, your husband's being a D. You're literally Mexican American. That's what the hyphen means. He's erasing your actual experience and projecting his own identity issues onto you. Calling you fake over a Mayo joke is unhinged. Oh, and somebody else says, in a way, this is a kind of really strange, rude version of the nature versus nurture debate. And I guess we could say that it is, but at the same time, it's not coming from a place of debating nature versus nurture. And if you really want to talk nature versus nurture, we can look at this video that I did a few months ago about a woman who was Colombian, but taken from Colombia, adopted by Italian American immigrants to the United States, and felt like her whole identity was erased. So we can save that conversation for that video if you'd like to watch that one. It's very hard for me to believe that this is the first time in 8 years that this behavior has shown itself.
A few moments later.
Oh, somebody else said, I just read your most recent posts about gifts. Now I'm thinking my take was correct. He's trying to make you feel like you don't have enough value to receive gifts from his mother, and he is here looking for things to dislike and criticize you for. The ways he chooses to try and make you feel badly may be connected to his particular insecurities, but the main motivation is to demean you and create arguments. I don't know what this is, but now I'm interested in this conversation that this lady had on a different Reddit post. So now I'm going to look. Oh, okay. I don't like this post. Like, the post title did what it was supposed to do. It gave me a visceral reaction. But this post that she wrote is, husband says I don't deserve nice things. After reading that, I'm just like, you know what? Leave him. He's a jerk. Every year when my birthday and the holidays come around, my in-laws buy my husband and myself some really nice gifts. Additionally, my mother-in-law enjoys going out shopping with me whenever we visit and always wants to buy me a nice gift to show her love and appreciation for keeping company. My husband only has a brother, so I'm like the daughter they never had. That's a really sweet gesture that they're able to go out and do those things, especially being from different cultures and being accepted by the mom. This is great. Despite what my husband thinks, my in-laws are in fact very well off. They live in a very nice building, drive a number of luxury vehicles, My mother-in-law only wears luxury brands. Get it, she's rich. Since we've been together, dating, engaged, and married, my husband has always gotten upset whenever my mom bought me nice things. Upset with me. He tells me I need to reject any gifts his mom buys because I didn't do anything to deserve them, and I'm encouraging his mom to waste her hard-earned money on me. This man just does not like you. Why did you marry him? I want to make this very clear. I have never once asked either of his parents to buy me anything. Anytime I received a gift from them, it was their own doing. He's just a problem. He's just a problem. This is weird. Gosh, I'm so aggravated because in this post, she edited twice, and her second edit says, many people have gone through my other posts and suggested outright, or at least implied, that separation is my answer. Unfortunately, I don't have a support system. And you don't have a support system at home, ma'am. I was raised by narcissist parents and have a hard time keeping friends due to relocating, losing touch with them, drifting apart, etc. My own mom, for example, suggests that I should have just acted differently to avoid triggering my husband. Growing up, I was always told that I am the problem. With this being said, I have immensely grown to cherish the relationship I have with his parents, who treat me almost normal. The situation has been extremely hurtful for me because I finally feel like I get to experience a normal parent-child relationship. This is really hard because it's easy to sit on one side of the screen and say, yeah, you're stupid for not going ahead and leaving him. And at the same time, I can totally sympathize with the fact that if she doesn't have good coping skills, and if she has never had good relational skills modeled for her, she probably does feel overwhelmed and doesn't know what to do. Separating from him would be like, you don't have to have a support system to separate from this man. I don't know if she has a job. I don't know if she makes a good income. I don't know if she would be able to live her best life on her own being separated from this man. But the parents know their son, right? They know their son. You're very obviously able to communicate with them. So maybe they speak English, or maybe you speak some pretty good Korean. If you tell them that you're having to do this because of the way that their son is behaving or the way that he is shaming you, that would be a good way to phrase it, because shame is huge in Korean culture. If you can say it that way, I'm sure based on the relationship that they have with you, maybe they would offer you some sort of support or therapy. Maybe they'd offer to pay for counseling, something. But you've got to get to the point where you are willing to not be, oh, what's the word? I'm only thinking in Spanish, pisoteada, like be somebody's doormat, maybe. You've got to get to the point where you're not allowing yourself to be his doormat, to knock down your self-esteem, to knock down any kind of sense of he is doing this on purpose. All of this is on purpose. It's to break you down, and he does not like you for some reason. If she's not in a position where she is ready to leave him, she's probably just looking for validation for her feelings. And I am so glad that she has an outlet and a community, even if it's Reddit, to be able to express her feelings of something's off, something's not quite right. I feel like my husband's overreacting. And even if she doesn't have, hold on, she said in her other post that she has her abuela and she has family that is from, okay, you know what? I'm not going to dig into this woman's background. I'm not going to try and make sense of something that doesn't make sense to me. But what I am going to say is that at the very least, she is reaching out. She is checking this weird behavior with other people that are completely removed from her situation, and they're all talking sense and letting her know that he is not a good person. I would love to hear what you all think about this particular situation and marriage in the comments. As we always say on this channel, with God, all things are possible, and I will see you next time for our next video.